Oh my goodness, it is lovely in here. Wowee. So I'll take you around. I'm going to do some pottering today, so I will take you around as I go and show you what I'm up to. So this is my Ammi. So this is my Ammi majus and my Ammi visnaga. So they're perfectly happy. You can pop them on if you've got nothing to do, but they've got plenty of room for the time being, so they can stay where they are. I promised to show you my Nigella, didn't I? So here we are. I've potted my plants on into their 15 cell trays. I was a little bit early, but I had quite a few where I'd accidentally dropped 2 seeds in the cell. So I thought I'd better separate those out. They've got very, very, very delicate roots. So you have to be ever so careful when splitting them up, but they will actually tolerate it. And if you get any where the compost comes away from the plant completely, just drop it in a bowl of water for 20 minutes, half an hour, let it completely rehydrate and then pot it on. So otherwise, if you pot it on and it's already on the wilt, it's going to struggle to get the moisture out of the compost quick enough. But if you cheat and give it a swim, you'll rehydrate it completely, then pot it on, and then you won't have any casualties. Simple. Everything is looking so good. I think I might do the Cerinthe today. Look at that Agrostemma. That is a forest, isn't it? So I've also potted on my sweet rocket. There we go. I forgot what it was then. So I did that the other day. So that's on the greenhouse updates on the website if you want it. Up here I've got some Larkspur. I've got some more Nigella that was a bit smaller. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to put those in 24 cells. I hardly ever use them, but they were so tiny. And the risk is, if they're in too big a cell, you might overwater them. So I thought I'll just pop them in a 24 to start with, and then I can pot them on again in January. And then here I've got my Larkspur. So this is Larkspur as well. This one was just started sooner. And you'll find if you've had any trouble with your germination, now the sun's come out after that period of cold, the hot, cold, fluctuating temperatures should do their magic for you now. Just look at the wild carrot. That is doing famously now. I might give this a little top dressing of compost. Now everyone's up. They need light for germination, so if you're still waiting for a few, don't cover them with compost just yet. Reaching down here, my cornflowers, as you know, are potted on, and so is my Briza. That's all done. But don't worry if you haven't had time yet, everything's growing really slowly now. So there's no hurry. Chinese forget-me-nots, well, I'm just doing the potting on for those now. I've got an empty cell there. I'm not sure why. I'll fill that one in a second. I've made a start on the poppies as well, just because I wanted something to do, and it was so lovely in the greenhouse that day. So if yours are not ready, don't worry, the video's on the website if you need it. If I'm more Nigella over here. It was a very successful Nigella germination. I've got millions of them, which is excellent because I love Nigella. Over here, I have got my butterfly ranunculuses. I've got some later started butterfly ranunculuses. I've got some even later started than those. And then rose-shaped ranunculus and anemones over here. I started these weeks ago, right at the beginning. So if yours don't look like this yet, you probably just started them a bit later than me. Or your greenhouse is in the wrong place, in which case you need to make sure you take them indoors. See, these ones were started much later and they're just starting to get shoots now. These were a sample that was sent to me at the last minute. So they're coming along beautifully now, but I did start them indoors. You can't start them outside now. Even though it's lovely today, bring them out in the sunshine during the day. That really helps them grow, but bring them back in at night. So out during the day, especially if they're just starting to peek through, but then bring them back in at night, and that will continue the waking up process. Because otherwise it's going hot, cold, hot, cold. So if you bring them in indoors in the evening, then it's not going cold on them. And then my butterflies, again, these were started quite a long time ago. So if you only started yours 10 days ago, then they are not going to look like this. So don't worry about it. So I started these ones first, and you can see they are massive plants. So don't panic. Once they get going, they look like little fists coming out of the soil, don't they? If they take a little while to get going, that is normal. They take longer than your rose-shaped ranunculus. They are bigger plants. So these ones were started much later. Can you see? So these are only in 9cm pots so that I could show you potting on. Sometimes it can be easy to overwater them if they're in a big pot. So I thought start them off in a smaller pot, but be careful that you haven't started them off in a tray or a really shallow pot, because all of the roots and the shoots come from the crown. So you can see this is a much later started corm. So if you've got a few of them that are showing signs, but not all of them yet, then that might be because you started them an awful lot later. So again, take them indoors, but do watch your compost, because if it's not deep enough over your butterfly ranunculus, they're incredibly tall. Let me just take this one out. Can you see? There are no roots coming from the legs. It looks like something from War of the Worlds, doesn't it? One of them tripods. So can you see, look, the roots there. So all the shoots and all the roots come from the crown. So if you're not careful, what you could end up doing is overwatering the legs. And if there's not enough moist compost around the top, then it won't wake up. It won't wake up if it just has a little paddle. You need to make sure this crown part has got moist but not wet compost around it. So the best thing to do is, if they're not showing any signs of life, that's probably all it is. The compost around the crown's dried out. So what you want to do is just take him out of the pot and give him some fresh compost, and then take your plant indoors. And as I say, all the roots and the shoots are going to come from the top part. So you need to make sure that that's nicely tucked in your compost. I've just knocked one out of a pot just to show you. Don't do this at home, I've done it for you. I've got plenty of ranunculus, so I've done this one for you. So you can see everything that's going on below the soil surface. So if you can only just see this, look how much more is going on. They're growing absolutely beautifully. So if you're peering at your soil and you can't see a shoot, just take them indoors. That will give them a jump start, and then bring them back down to the greenhouse straight after. Literally all you need to do, if you think your pot's too wet, if you think you might have given it too much water in encouraging it to shoot, just take it out of its pot, mix in plenty of dry, or you can replace it completely. But if you mix in some dry, that will save you from needing to water it. And then just pop your ranunculus back in his pot with your dry compost mix, and then he will carry on growing. Go one last time. So I've got a pot here, so the bottom compost, that can be fairly dry. There we go, pop that in, because it's only the legs that are going in there. But the moisture, well, that needs to be near the crown. So if you now fill it up with dry compost and then water it, the water will go around the crown. Or I've got here some quite moist compost, so you can kind of get my drift. So all this moisture needs to be around the crown. Otherwise, all you're going to do is just rot the legs. And if the crown stays dry, it will never wake up. And then you can kill your plant. There we go. And my label.